I want to talk about Missing. In my opinion, it's one of the best thriller movies to come out in years. It is such a well done movie. I saw the movie opening night, and I will admit I was a little bit nervous going into the movie because I'm a huge fan of Searching. And this is from the some of the minds behind Searching, some of the editors of Searching. And I was worried that this movie would take Searching, which is an amazing movie, and make like a really cheap, like quickly made version of it that's just not as good as the original. But what I found was this movie is incredibly well made. This movie, it's evident that the creators took years to make this movie, took a lot of time to create this honestly masterpiece of a movie. This movie is phenomenal. And I'm going to talk about this movie. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but if you haven't seen Missing yet, please go to the theater and see this movie. Go support movies like this. I feel like a lot of people have uh are saying nowadays like they don't make creative movies anymore or whatever. But that's just bullcrap. This movie is one of the most creative movies I've ever seen. It is mind-blowing to watch, and ever since I saw it in theaters opening night, I haven't gotten it out of my head. It is so good, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why I love this movie so much. I want to start with just the editing, filmmaking, and authenticity. The movie is very well edited. From the very first frame all the way to the very end, this movie captured my attention, and a lot of credit needs to go to the editing team. We'll talk about the performances and the screenplay here in a bit, but the editing is a key factor in keeping the audience engaged, and this movie kept me engaged for the entire runtime. There's this sense of authenticity to the movie where everything feels so real. You can't see a lot on this screenshot. There's not a lot of stills out of this movie, but I just picked one as an example. You can see that in this scene, these two are talking, and that's kind of the focal point of what's going on in this scene. Um, and some other movies, if there was a one-on-one interaction, may decide to just cut, like kind of crop the screen a little bit and show the kind of what's primarily going on. But this movie puts a lot of thought. They put just as much, if not even more thought into the background of things that the audience really doesn't pay much attention to unless you're seeing it a second time and actively looking for Easter eggs and actively looking for clues. Seeing this movie um, a second time helped me appreciate it even more. I saw this movie opening night and then I went right back to see it again just because I loved it so much. There's so many little just authentic things in the background, and you'll notice when you see the movie, but like in this particular screenshot, you could see like the desktop, and there's like real things that you would see on a college student's computer or a high school student's computer. Um, it just feels authentic. The background, all the text messages, there's a lot of thought. You can't read them here, but if you read the text messages throughout the movie, not just the text messages that are primarily going on screen, but even the side messages, there's a lot of thought that went into that. It doesn't feel thrown together at all. It feels like they put so much time into creating this world on screen that you honestly can't notice unless you pause the movie and just look at every single still, because there's so much that they put into this movie, so many Easter eggs, so many clues. There's so much to appreciate about the editing and also this world they're creating on screen. There's no big camera, and they actually make a little bit of like a nod to that in one of the scenes in the movie, which I don't want to spoil, but there's an interview scene where they're talking about like making movies a little bit, something kind of like that, and it just nods to the amazing filmmakers that worked on this movie. They truly had a vision with this movie. Um, there's so much thought and care that goes into every little scene, every little cut of the editing that keeps it intense from start to finish and makes everything feel so authentic. It feels like you're actively watching this happen in front of you just because it feels so real. This world that the creators made of this movie just feels so real and authentic, and that's something I appreciate about the movie, and it keeps you on your toes the entire time due to the screenplay as well. The screenplay is very intense. It's one of the most intense movies I've ever seen, and I don't think I've ever seen a movie with this many twists. I love movies with crazy twists and turns, but I've never seen a movie with this many twists and turns. It is intense and it is expertly crafted. Um, just when you think you know what's going on, another clue is revealed, and then you realize, oh wait, I didn't, and this movie's playing tricks on me. I love when movies do that, and this movie absolutely does that. Not just a couple times, but every 5 minutes or so, there's like a moment that just like makes my jaw drop. Like this movie is so well crafted. Every little puzzle piece makes sense at the end, but while you're watching it, the way they choose to reveal these different aspects of the mystery, it's really smart. It's really well done, and I haven't seen a movie that has so many twists and turns without having plot holes. This movie really doesn't have any plot holes, and every little clue makes sense. Yes, the moment that the screenwriters choose to reveal that plot point may make the movie look or may cause the audience to think differently about like the course of the story and try to trick them into thinking something that's happening isn't happening, but it plays these tricks so well and it reveals all these clues so well that it still makes sense at the end of the movie. Watching the movie a second time, you can see those different clues knowing the true outcome, and it's just a different experience because you can appreciate how masterfully, how expertly crafted these mystery puzzle pieces are to the bigger picture. And it makes sense watching it. But watching the movie, you'll notice that you think you know what's happening when really you don't. It keeps you guessing and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. And I love movies that do that, especially movies that do it this well. The performances in this movie also contribute to the authenticity of it. All the performances in this movie are great. I can't think of any performance in this movie that was a little bit, just okay or anything. All the performances in this movie were great, and it made the movie feel very authentic and very tense. The actors or the performances that needed to be dramatic were very dramatic. The performances that needed to create some intensity were really well done, and the performances just add to this authentic feel. It's a movie that doesn't feel fake at all. It feels real, and it feels like the people on screen are real people. That's something I love about the movie. It's very authentic, and the performances help create that feeling. The movie's also unexpectedly very emotional. The movie made me tear up a couple times throughout, and Searching does this as well, the previous film. Um, but the emotions in this movie are it just feels real again. Um, the performances help create these really emotional themes throughout the movie. And it's rare that I see a movie that's either in this thriller or a horror genre that also manages to put in these really emotional, dramatic points like Searching and Missing do. Um, Missing has a lot of emotion to it, and it has these strong themes throughout while also balancing a really well done mystery movie. I love Missing, and it's probably gonna go down as either my first or second favorite movie-going experience I've ever had, as far as being in the theater, watching the movie, and just being with an audience. It is the most fun I've had at the theater since Parasite. Parasite's the only other movie that just like was an amazing m- movie experience that made my jaw drop multiple times throughout, and you know react very passionately to the movie, and just engage that much into the storyline. And it's very worth seeing in theaters. If you haven't seen it yet, go see this movie in theaters. Go see it with an audience and just go appreciate and support movies like this. Um, People are making really creative and bold works of film, and it's just up to us as audience members if we're going to support them or not. Because if we don't support movies like this, then you really will be having movies that aren't creative. You'll start having less creative movies and more very mainstream blockbusters. Um, I feel like this movie deserves a lot of attention at the box office. We'll have some superhero films that come out this year and some action films that I know will do a lot more money than this. But this movie is by far one of the most creative movies I've ever seen. And I really do hope you take the time to go to the theaters and support it.